Hey everybody, back again. Plant sessions, pruning. Let's talk about pruning. Like this leaf. Many of you ask how to properly prune plants, when to prune plants, if pruning plants is even necessary. And so we're gonna cover all that. Let's just talk about when to prune plants and if pruning plants is necessary. Pruning plants is really helpful and can sometimes be necessary. I would say that, especially if you live in a small apartment, sometimes pruning plants, there's many reasons that you would prune plants. You know, if you lived in a small apartment and you need to keep your plants somewhat small, that's a reason to prune plants. If you have yellowing leaves, dying leaves like this Dieffenbachia that I'm going to show you in a minute, that's a reason to prune a plant. If you have flowers that have spent, that's a reason to prune a plant. You would prune away the spent flowers. When I say spent, I mean they've bloomed, they've dried up, they're done. Basically, in the natural world of plants, you know, the natural elements are going to help a plant prune, but because there's no wind or heavy rainfall or animals helping a plant out, we have to step in for all of those elements. So you're basically Mother Nature and helping your plant prune because it's not outside. So one thing about pruning, first and foremost, is that you always want to remove dead plant debris, leaves, flowers, stems from your plant if living indoors. It's not a good idea to just leave all that stuff in the base of your plant. It's not going to compost like it would outside, like it would decompose. It might decompose indoors, but then you will attract friendly friends that are going to help you decompose that, like bugs, mold, bacteria, all that stuff. So it's really good to remove dead debris. Here's a first example. This croton has some leaf drop. You see at the base of the plant. I'm just like, I didn't touch anything before I picked this up. So here is a dried up leaf that fell into the base of the plant. So simply removing these dried leaves is going to be beneficial for this plant. And you're going to keep the root, the top of the root ball clear and of decomposing debris. And also, if you were to get a bunch of debris that would pile up on the top of the root ball, it would be harder for oxygen to access the root ball as well. So that's going to be helpful for this plant to keep thriving and doing what it wants to do. So there's that. Another example of removing yellowing or debris off of a plant. I love showing the Aralia for pruning because it's that plant that I actually really like to put my fingers through, like hair. It's weird. But like just going through your plant, you see what's like, I'm hardly touching it much, but I'm just gently combing through the leaves. The Aralia is a perfect example of a plant that has really dense foliage and very wispy. So it's easy for foliage dead foliage to get stuck in the healthy parts, the healthy leaves. So I like to just go through, again, gently, just kind of give it a shake and get my fingers in there. And I'm going to show you, we have, see all this stuff? This is from our croton. But this is already all from the Aralia. I'll show you there, see? So that's going to be really helpful as well for this plant to stay healthy, keep breathing, don't get stuck with any decomposing matter that's going to attract unwelcomed guests. Again, like down at the base of the root ball, We just want to take away the dead debris. So that's, you know, nothing wrong with zhuzhing your plant. Okay, so that one's done. So that's just like really easy pruning removal with your hands. You don't need any tools. Another way of pruning for succulents, because pruning different plants, like every plant has a different growth habit, so that means that the leaves will be pruned differently. And so it will be impossible for me to explain all the different methods of pruning each plant, but you have to just look at the way that your plant grows and the architecture of the leaf growth, and make sure that you're pruning the best way for the growth of the plant. I'll explain that a little bit more, but here's another example of a succulent with dried leaves. This happens with succulents all the time. The bottom leaves or the top leaves dried. This guy was left too dry in between watering, so it lost some of these leaves. I don't need a tool for this. I can literally just take it off with my finger, just a little pinch. This guy here down below, I'll just take off with my finger. This guy, same thing. And then there's this guy. Every other leaf looks healthy to me. No need for pruning. So that was just a very minimal prune. Those are the sorts of things that you can be doing on a daily basis to just keep your plant healthy. You know, the reason that we do that is like we're just helping the plant out. You can also, if you want, you can wait until all the life of that leaf has left and the leaf falls on its own. There are varying opinions on when it's better to prune, so I leave it up to you to decide. Okay, so here's where we need some tools, and I have my handy Milwaukee snips that we sell at the shop. So this fern has got some dried leaves on it. Like this guy is starting to curl in and showing just basically some damage from being left a little bit too long between waterings. These guys are so sensitive to watering. So all I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna clean this baby up, and we're gonna go down here to the base, and you see these dried bits. Move this back a little bit. I'm just gonna remove them with my scissors. This guy also I'm gonna remove. It's not going to recoup. See how that leaf turned in like that? It's just from thirst. It's not gonna recoup, that's dried up. Same thing with here. So this is pruning for damage from dryness. Again, this is just cleaning things up so that all the energy that the plant is using is not being used to try to regenerate life out of those leaves that are damaged. It will just now focus on the healthy leaves, and that's what you want. If especially indoors. We'll take some of these off below. I don't know if you can see that. These guys are just dried. Poor little babes. These ferns are so sensitive to moisture, it's crazy. Okay, that's done. Now this Oxalis I pulled because it has blooms. So what we're doing right now is I'm just showing you examples of pruning debris, dead or dried plant leaves. This is another example of a flower that has spent. So I don't need a tool for the Oxalis because it's just this really easy plant to just take with your fingernail and take off. But here's another guy that's dried up. I don't know if you can see, that's really thin. But the Oxalis is also a plant that is a good example to show plants that you can prune back if the foliage gets too leggy. Leggy means that the stem has gotten really long and it's reaching for the sun. We call that leggy. The Oxalis is always reproducing new leaves from the center. Here's another little leaf that I just pulled out that's dry. So it's totally okay for this guy. Like you see, there's a new leaf coming there. There's another new leaf down in there. I can just remove this guy. It's a healthy leaf. It's fine. It didn't hurt, but it's getting really leggy. So I could just clean this up if you want. This is this is one method of pruning. If you want to clean up your plant and make it look bushy again and not really leggy. So so that's a way to prune as well, and just take off all these really long leaves, and it just kind of looks full again and nice and tight. So that's really easy. There's nothing wrong with doing that for a plant. Let's see. Here's another flower that's been spent. There's actually seeds in here. Who wants to grow a kalanchoe? I will just take my handy scissors and cut that right off. There's a leaf down there that's dry. Cut that and that, and that's done. Looks a little cleaner. No dried or dying leaves and stems. Okay, let's look at this Dieffenbachia. Okay, it's kind of hard because this guy's a big boy, but you see these leaves? Eesh, not looking so good, but a natural progression of the growth of a Dieffenbachia. You see how this stalk is bare? These were all leaves at one point. So it's totally okay and normal for bottom leaves of plants like Dieffenbachia. Other plants like that are the Dracaenas, the Alocasia. I'm looking around the shop. Even the Ficus liratas, the Philodendron sellum, the Monstera deliciosa. These plants, it's very natural for bottom leaves to die as new life comes from the top. This is a really healthy plant, so we don't have to worry about this plant not doing well. This is just natural. So instead of my scissors, I'm gonna take a knife. Also, you just wanna make sure that your cutting tool is clean whenever you're gonna do a prune. And I'm going to pull this back and very gently, here I'll come a little closer, just cut. Boom, just like that. Clean cut, no problemo. Over here as well, I'm gonna pull it out. I'm gonna try to get as close to the stem as possible. Now, over time, this is gonna happen. You see that? It's yellow. This is an old leaf that we cut, and it's gonna dry up. And then, see how this little guy is dried up? This is from an old leaf that we pruned. And you don't have to do this, but it's just a way to expose this gorgeous stem. You can remove this bit once it's dry, and you start to see more of this beautiful stem that's actually gonna get woody and harden over time. This guy's not really ready yet. It's kind of soggy. I'm gonna leave it to dry a little bit more. But so that's gonna happen to these pieces that we just cut. It's gonna get soggy, a little yellow. If it bothers you, you could take it off if you want, just like that. Actually, that was much easier than I thought it was gonna be. Much not messy. And see, we just exposed this gorgeous bit of this stem. Voila, that is pruning the Dieffenbachia. We're gonna put this down. Okay, so look at all this plant debris that we just created. How lovely is that? Easy, easy, easy. So keeping your plants clean, keeping them healthy, pruning away dead or dried foliage is really important to the health of your plant. Pruning leggy plants back is really easy, and it's an aesthetic choice if you want to do it. Closing tips: look at the growth structure of your plants. If leaves grow from other leaves, make sure that you're not cutting a leaf down and cutting the growth of a new leaf from that stem. Just take a look at it. You know, an agave, for example, sends out pups. So you're never gonna hurt another leaf coming because they rosette, so they just grow as a rosette. You know, same thing with the Scindapsus. They are a vine, so they just keep growing from this vine. So if you were to prune a leaf up top, you're not necessarily hurting anything from the vine that's coming below. So I hope that is helpful. Pruning, the time of year for pruning, any time of year is fine. If you really want to wait through winter and then give your plant the best jump start in spring, you can do that. But really any time of year is good for pruning, and you should always be removing this debris all year round. You can make it a daily practice in just checking out your plants and making sure they're good. Any questions, always feel free to reach out, care@tula.house. And thank you so much for tuning in. We really appreciate it. Hope you have a great day. My name is Kristen, signing out from Tula. Bye.